Hi, and welcome back to the non-dual lectionary for year A, the first Sunday of Christmas. We're now in Christmas season, so we have some of those early stories about Jesus's life, full of like mythological richness in particular. Um, and let's see what we can make out of this one for this week. It's from the book of Matthew, as almost everything is for year A, chapter 2, verses 13 through 23. Now, after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and went to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." When Herod saw that he had been tricked by the Magi, he was infuriated, and he sent and killed all the children in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had learned from the Magi. Then what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be consoled because they are no more. When Herod died, an angel of the Lord suddenly appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who were seeking the child's life are dead." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And after being warned in a dream, he went away to the district of Galilee. There he made his home in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled. He will be called a Nazarene. Now, on the surface, um, I think from like my rational mind kicks in for me personally and says, "Oh, they're tweaking the story to make sure that it fits the prophecy. Born in Bethlehem, come out of Egypt, find your way to Nazareth." And there may be something to that, but these prophecies and the lamentation from Rachel, and the way that the story deals with that, I think there is something rich here that we can glean out of this. And in particular, if we take, the idea of baby Jesus, right? Of the child, of Jesus, immaculately born, as the key here of unlocking, I think, is something like the indwelling spirit, but the spirit in the world, the sort of yeah, I mean, spirit is a loaded term for some people by itself, right? But it can be like, something like the absolute in the world, right? God in the world, God in ourselves, the indwelling spirit, what it is that wakes up when waking up happens, right? It's not separate from matter, and that's what, I kind of talked about last week in some, there's that rich story just of incarnation generally, right? There's that non-dual key right in the middle there of like, there's no separation here ultimately. But there's still, the way we kind of noodle and stumble our way through things, there's this apparent separation. And the child Jesus, born immaculately, God in human form can represent for us like that indwelling spirit, that like nugget, that core of of the divine, right? If you in so many words. And now I've used all different words. I hope that you can graph your own onto there if that doesn't work. And so then there's two things here I think I want to glean out. The one is the felt sense and need to hide that, right? The sense that the world is opposed to it, and that if we don't hide it and keep it safe, that the world will destroy it, right? This is like, again, like the core of the apparent dualism in life, right? Is that when we first might get a sense that like, oh, there's something out there that's not just my apparent self, right? That's not just my psychological self. That's not just the normal way that I operate in the world. It feels like there's this dichotomy there, right? And that like you almost have to like the world is out to destroy it, right? And so we hide. Um, and almost like the sense that we're hiding it to keep it safe, right? Like to like put it aside, keep it separate. That the world is going to screw this thing up somehow, right? And that so there's that sense of like the need to hide, the need to keep safe, the need to like um yeah, the need to like secret away, right? That like this is not of the world, and I need to keep it somehow away from the world because of that second thing, right? Which is like the world is going to destroy it. And here, we've got this story directly saying so. Um, they're seeking the child and they're going to kill it, right? And so pretty direct there. But those two things kind of put together, right? Is like the sense that the that spirit appears and seems to be in opposition, and like the world needs to destroy it because otherwise it's going to destroy the world, right? And maybe not the whole world, right? But like the sense of like I have to choose between these two sides, or but even more like direct. I mean that destruction thing is not such a bad metaphor because like we're talking about something that gets described as ego death, not as a metaphor, right? As a direct thing, like the message of die before you die and that kind of thing, like not as a metaphor. So, um, we've got right here, right? Like the sense of like, oh, like Herod here is actually like a stand-in for us in our normal way of doing things, right? In our normal way of seeing things, which is like, if I allow this thing to emerge, if I really take this seriously, it's going to destroy me. So what can I do but kind of try to destroy it, right? And yet, like, there's something in spirit itself that like secrets away and is like, I'm going to be here. So like, there's the sense of like we need to keep it safe and secret, but there's also the sense of like it's not going to go away. It's going to hide. It's going to emerge in these new ways, right? It might emerge through Nazareth, even though it was born in Bethlehem. It might come out of Egypt for some reason that doesn't make any sense, right? Um, but yeah, like so these kind of that kind of introduces like this third little aspect, right? But that idea of like spirit is like embedded and like hidden. It's kind of hidden itself, and sometimes we feel the need to hide. And then there's this apparent like one is going to destroy the other. Uh-oh, what are we going to do? And yeah, I mean, I'm Herod, right? You and I, right? In our like, oh man, this is going to take us out. Like our normal ego games like want to get rid of this because it's not going to be good for me. But ultimately, like it can't be killed, right? And in the end, I mean, when we get all the way through it's not oppositional anyway, right? Like non-dual means non-dual. So like, although the parent dualism means like one's got to go, in the end, the yin and yang, the one is in the other, right? So there's no way that the one can go, and so there's no way it can be destroyed, either one, um, because non-dual means non-dual. So spirit, the divine, the the seed within, right, is going to emerge from wherever, and so right here in this little story, right, in these little three paragraphs, we get kind of a cool little description of like what's always going on, right? Like the give and take and the apparent conflict and the emergence and that's the power of these little like these core little mythological stories, right? We don't have a teaching here. We don't have a like do this or do that, but we have just like a little poetic in the context of the time, right? All of that in the context of the Hebrew scriptures that had come before, a little poetic description of like, hey, this is how it works, right? This is what it is always, and you know, keep your eyes open because it's always happening, even now.